Tony Petrov, General Counsel of Sumsub.
Correct.
Welcome to do today's really interesting conference, if I want to say.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on what's happening? Have you been around? What's happened?
Very interesting as always. I really enjoy looking at the booths. They are very shiny. I think compared with other conferences, it's sort of like ICE and Sigma are the ones that are always very shiny, very entertaining, and it's a fantastic experience to be here.
What regulatory developments do you foresee shaping the fintech and gaming industries this year? And how should companies prepare to stay compliant, knowing that there's a lot of change across the globe, in UAE, in Europe? So there's a lot of things happening. So what's your take on this?
I think that generally, from the regulatory standpoint, the main trend is, I would say, fragmentation. So this means that larger jurisdictions, many larger jurisdictions, actually try to develop their own regulatory policies in respect of their own audiences and their own, let's say, business landscapes. So this means that there is no unified internet audience that has been in place, let's say 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Now most of the countries try to regulate. This means that things like, for example, localization are becoming very important. If we're talking about fintech, then licensing comes up, which is also quite interesting. And of course, certain technology things that are related to specific areas are also getting more and more regulation. For example, AI. In Europe, for example, right now is what is in place is the AI Act that creates certain, let's say, ways how you need to behave when you're doing some AI research and some AI development. So many things are changing now. I think for this the main challenge right now for global online businesses is that they need to be in different places at the same time. And it's becoming complicated. When we're talking about presence, this always is about legal side and about technological side, infrastructure. So you need to do this. I'm sure that the market will somehow come to this appeal, and so they will find some ways how to decentralize infrastructures and decentralize localizations.
So what's the biggest challenges companies are facing in the industry, and especially in the identity verification and fraud prevention today? And how can they navigate the evolution or evolving the regulatory landscape in specific? What's your take on this?
This is an interesting thing. When we're talking about fraud prevention, right now the main probably area of fraud in general in financial industries, in online businesses, is related somehow to AI, because AI allows to generate whatever image is possible, and it's really hard sometimes to detect these things. Obviously, you see a lot of videos showing presidents and celebrities, and you never know exactly is it a real person or not. And so the problem is when you're trying to catch AI, you need to also use AI-driven solutions. And then the problem is that, for example, AI Act in Europe, it requires certain things to be done. One of the things is explainability. So this means that you need to explain to the public how exactly your engine is working, and on which basis, etc. And so this creates a problem because if you explain to the audience how your AI fraud prevention engine, for example, is working, this means that the fraudsters can also access to this information and then try to reverse engineer what exactly is happening and try to catch you and be successful as a fraudster. So the things are becoming very complicated. Sometimes you're trying to achieve one thing, and then at the same time you are damaging another thing. This is the main problem in regulation right now. So how to marry things like data protection with things and explainability of AI, for example, with the effectiveness of fraud prevention. Sometimes it creates certain hurdles.
A very interesting take, and it's really amazing how this whole scene is evolving by itself. This is where it drives me to go into the regulatory frameworks becoming more complex, and then we're spending more time in the compliance and trying to catch up in all of different jurisdictions and so on. What opportunities do you see for businesses to leverage this compliance as a competitive advantage rather than it's an issue? And in your panel discussion, you explore how media platforms can enhance security and foster trust. What best practices should companies implement to protect their users?
I mean, as every person who is somehow related to business, I also think that every challenge is an opportunity. So when on one side it's a challenge, on the other side it's an opportunity. So things like, for example, localization. I mean, everyone uses AWS, for example, AWS servers, right? But AWS doesn't exist in certain jurisdictions. This means that it allows certain, space for other service providers to replace this gap, and so. So this is one of the things that will be there. I think we will see some kind of decentralization and decentralized storage services, for example. When we're talking about fraud prevention, right now one of the things that is important is that software safety standards are becoming higher, and this means that we're going to see more and more different certifications, for example, related to safety of software in all senses of this word. And this means, again, this is an opportunity for others to develop these standards, to develop these standards of software at the same time. Others who would help in certifications. So a lot of areas are now opening up because of the more and more sophisticated market that we are going into.
Very interesting, and thank you for joining us in this lounge, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the aligned events and scheduled events, if you want to call them. It's really interesting to see how today is going to fold up. Thank you for joining us, and hope you enjoyed this beautiful interview. Thank you.